Today, we're going to talk about art and not just about art, about the value of art. So my name is Peggy van der Plas. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here with me. So I started looking into contemporary art maybe 12 years ago. It obviously had been on my radar. I don't live under a rock. But I was hardly a fan before that. Like I grew up in France and I grew up in France like a few decades ago. And Impressionists, especially French Impressionists, were considered, the pinnacle of artistic achievement. Even modern art was met with skepticism, unless it came from France, mais bien sûr. So I have to say that my wonderful better half deserves the credit for changing my mind with some persistence, because I was not a willing participant initially, but also I take the credit of being open-minded. I started seeing beyond the cliché, the Marilyn with a mustache, the Einstein with a red nose. And I started appreciating really the questions, the ideas, the rebellion as well that the contemporary art was bringing to the market. And so over time, I really immersed myself in the world of art. So I attended fairs, gallery openings, artist talks, exhibition, both here in Toronto, but also when I travel abroad. I read, I listened, I learned. And while I came to really admire the creativity, the stories, the technique behind the work, my fascination really grew around the economics of art. Because the market is extremely opaque and it is deliberate. And it makes it nearly impossible to understand how value is assigned beyond, emotions or aesthetics. There are no formula, there are no balance sheet, there is no predictable outcomes, very different from the world of private equity, no net present value, no sum of the parts. And so that curiosity really led my husband and I to invest in this company called Wonder AI years ago, a company that uses actually artificial intelligence to better understand and assess the value of art. It's used by insurance company, obviously, for their business of insuring they need valuation. And so a few years ago, I met a great artist, I would say an extraordinary artist called Abraham Reyes. And Abraham works is really arresting and conceptually daring. And really what is truly setting him apart is the tangible value of his species, because he incorporates real gems and natural white pearls into his works and his sculptures. Yes, you're hearing me well. His work includes pearls, rubies, all these great gems and treasures, I would say, literally in the sculpture. So how does it come that he does that? Well, he was born in the Philippines and he inherited a remarkable collection of treasures from his great aunt, including, maybe you heard about it, the Giga Pearl. It's the largest natural pearl in the world, and it has been appraised at 135 million US. So, many in the shoes of Abraham would have seen that it was the end of the story and enjoy their life on a yacht. Well, he actually took a very different approach. For him, it was just the beginning, because from a very young age, he immersed himself in art, in gemology, in antiquity, eventually becoming himself the world's largest collector of unconventional natural wild pearls. So when I first encountered Abraham and his work, I was captivated, which is not an easy feat because I'm not someone who's obsessed with things, and I had no idea, to be totally honest with you, of the monetary value of what I was seeing, but I was drawn by, the originality of the work, the beauty. It's really fascinating work. And a year later, after I met him, his solo exhibition opened, and it opened on the same night that actually Toronto was hit by the heaviest snowstorm. It was just, pardon my French, a shit show. But you know what? Despite the weather, hundreds attended. It was quite the party. And the show was really a world of art, antiquities, light, and obviously the Giga Pearl was there. It was displayed under private security. I mean, you felt literally you were in a movie. But what really fascinated me the most was how Abraham's work reframed that notion of value in art, both materially but also philosophically. So, I looked at it really as a parallel to Duchamp's work. It's how art got disrupted. And maybe you're familiar with Marcel Duchamp and his work called Fontaine. So if you're not, let me remind it to you. In 1917, Marcel Duchamp, who was a French artist, put together, I shouldn't say put together because it was not much work, but offered a work of art for an exhibition. And that work of art called Fontaine was actually a urinal, and where it just put, like a signature, not his own signature actually. And what was very interesting for me is that it forced the world to rethink what art could be. With a urinal, without any painting, without anything, just like that, could be a work of art. And when I look at that in his own way, Abraham is doing something very similar, not by mocking tradition, but by merging two worlds that rarely meet, fine art and gemology. So the reaction from the gem community was one of disruption more than offense, really, because his work, the work of Abraham, really challenges these long-held notions of how precious materials should be used and valued. Of course, usually it's a ring, it's a necklace, it's da da da. It's rarely in an object like that, a decorative object. So it really also reminding me of the shift we're seeing in the diamond industry with lab-grown stones, because these lab-grown stones, they really rewritten the definition of what is authentic, what is worth, so natural diamonds were once untouchable, but today their man-made counterparts, they're celebrated for their sustainability. For their precision, and obviously for their financial accessibility. So it made me think about that. And in both cases, I would say whether you're looking at Abraham's work, whether you're looking at the natural diamond versus lab-grown diamond, whether you're looking at Fontaine from Marcel Duchamp, the disruption forces us to ask what truly defines value. Is it origin, rarity, craftsmanship, meaning, all of the above? Can something new gain legitimacy without diminishing the old? Because in Abraham's view, rarity and authenticity, that's what defines worth. So whether you love it or you question it, innovation always divides. And every wave of innovation in art or in industry divides opinions before it redefines the standards. It's just the reality. Whether you're looking at Duchamp's urinal, it didn't make painting obsolete the same way lab-grown diamonds did not destroy the natural diamond industry. They expanded the conversation. And that is exactly what Abraham's art does. It reframes and expands the conversation by giving precious materials a new purpose, which is really rooted in creative expression rather than adornment. It bridges really, again, this idea of intrinsic value with artistic vision. And his work really exists at this intersection of beauty, rarity, imagination. These are stunning pieces. And so it also raised the question of where do you stand? Because contemporary art often celebrates what stands apart rather than what conforms, you know? And Abraham art is authentic, it's disruptive, it's deeply human, really, you can feel it. And if you meet him, he's a wonderful individual. But again, it challenges us to reconsider how we measure worth, but not just in objects, in ideas as well. And if I were a gemologist, I would find his work exhilarating, fascinating, a new chapter in the story of gems and pearls. Because again, you know, as a gemologist, the more usage of what I'm passionate and expert in, the better it is for the world and for me selfishly. If I were an art specialist, same thing. I would see an opportunity to explore a more multidimensional form of value, one that is merging, you know, obviously emotional, cultural, but also material significance. So what he's doing and is in a unique, let's be honest, is in a unique position to do that. Not everyone inherited, you know, large treasures that he can after that use. But he also has this talent, this eye, and he works so hard on his species. So it's really this luck meet talent meet opportunities. You know, I've thought about it very often. If I had inherited such treasures, I'll probably be, you know, drinking margarita on the beach. I'm not sure I would work 10, 12 hours a day on my art, let's be honest. So I also admire Abraham very much for that, because he's relentless in his passion for art and really using what he has, his talent, his knowledge, and obviously his treasures in his art. So but you know, at the end, all great art really reflects something back at us, and that's what I'm talking about. Abraham's work, it doesn't not just ask, you know, what we see, it also asks who we are when we see it. Are we unsettled by the change? Are we curious about it? Are we inspired to build upon it? You know, and that's always the thing with innovation. Where are we? Are we with early adopters? Are we with sluggers? Are we just in the middle of the pack? And art and innovation, they share the same purpose. It's to challenge assumptions and to expand our understanding of what is possible. So his work, again, it reminds us that the value, whether in art, in gems, in ideas, in anything, it's never fixed. It evolves thanks to those brave enough to question it. So you can check his art. I highly recommend. So he has a great website, Abraham Reyes. I will put it in the show note. He has a great Instagram account as well. I highly recommend have a look, because it's good to see what I'm talking about. But thank you so much for watching or listening. It's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to share my ideas, share what I discover every day. And I'm looking forward to seeing you, or at least maybe you seeing me next week. Take care. Bye. Have a great weekend.